It seems as I get older, my thoughts turn more to these analytical questions about industries. I hope I make them fun for everybody, because I have another one. You don't have to go far to hear gamers lamenting the rise of Kickstarter, and how it is ruining gaming. People are putting their crappy games on Kickstarter, getting funded, and blowing it and having no immediate consequences. Or remarks about Inafune's monumentally bad skills at being a businessman, and calling a game good enough, or to not hire people to represent his project who have a history of abysmally run and failed Kickstarters. There are many problems Kickstarter has introduced, but many of them have to do with bad judgment or poor management, something that can just as easily occur in major studios and result in broken, delayed, or broken and delayed games. On the other hand, Kickstarter has made games such as Shovel Knight a remarkable success, possible, and made the promising Yooka-Laylee, Bloodstained, Shantae sequels, and other projects possible. There is even another project I stumbled upon that suffered long delays due to management difficulties, and people being unable to complete work they agreed to do, I believe. But the developer is supposedly working hard to give his backers what they deserve. I believe him, and I'm optimistic he isn't playing games, and I'll be interested when and if it releases. But I'm getting off topic. My point here is some great games and great looking games have come from this. Games we would have never seen otherwise, and even when developers make mistakes, there are those with the integrity to make things happen, even if it is late. The thing about Kickstarters is that games get funded on the basis of thousands of people playing, and potentially more purchasing once it is published. A game that sells 40 or 50,000 is considered an utter failure traditionally. If a major studio believed they were only guaranteed even 100,000 people would play, they would probably cancel the project. Let's look at Shovel Knight, backed by under 15,000 people, the base game having a budget of $75,000, but the full project covered by 311,500. I want to point this out because the main campaign, no music player, no DLC, no challenges, would have been made for $75,000. And despite not even having 15,000 backers, Shovel Knight managed to sell over 700,000 copies as of a year ago. Now let's look at Halo 3, which had a modest budget of $60 million and sold a little over $12 million. When I said modest, I wasn't being sarcastic. Major studios regularly throw hundreds of millions at games. Halo 3 was a conservative game that did fairly well. It's not like Shenmue with $70 million invested and not even $2 million in sales. What message does this send to the industry? This game with effectively under 15,000 pre-orders ended up selling incredibly well with crazy good margins, and was critically acclaimed. Yooka-Laylee asked about $280,000 and ended up with a full budget of a little over $3.3 million. Still very much low budget and backed by about 75,000 people. We haven't seen how well it has done, but it certainly garnered a lot of passion from a few gamers willing to spend more than the usual for their favorite genre. Kickstarter games often get free marketing because of the passion fans feel being involved in making the games they want a reality. It tells the industry you don't have to burn through money to make a game people will buy. A successful game can have a budget of $300,000 or a budget of $500 million. The success comes from a talented, passionate team with strong leaders and managers making a game that does something new or desired well. And the industry is starting to take notice. At least Nintendo is. Though they have a reputation for keeping budgets pretty conservative this millennium. Yet they are introducing particularly low-budget games on the eShop like Box Boy and Pushmo, and they aren't any worse for their budgets. What isn't being capitalized on as much is fan inclusion. Sure, Mega Man Legends 3 involved fans in many of the decisions to create a game that would be exactly what fans wanted, much like a Kickstarter, but few other games take this approach seriously. Likely because it makes development take longer for a game that will reach completion, no matter how anticipated it is. However, even minor events would benefit games from large studios. Suppose Nintendo announced they were considering Golden Sun 4, a new custom robo, or another franchise they consider risky, but only if a hashtag is tweeted so many times, maybe with fans sharing some of their favorite things about the games. This kind of campaign would do a great deal of the early marketing and get players more engaged. There are even ways to use the same principles on less risky franchises. Suppose with Pokemon Sun and Moon, Nintendo presented their followers with several animals who could be the inspiration for the new Firestarter, and asked fans to tweet their votes. Then later, they share some concept art for that Pokemon. Or suppose with Mario they shared concept art for a new power-up, and asked fans to vote and react. Or asked fans their opinions on a Goomba reskin, or variety. It would only draw fans in and hype them even more, and every game could find a way to involve their fans once or twice during development. Do you think Kickstarters are helping or hurting the industry more? Do you think developers should include fan opinions more often, even if they only use the opinions as a suggestion? Time will tell better what kind of effects crowdfunding will have on the industry.